If women were always treated terribly and we just looked at them as scum, when the fuck did that change? Just in the 70s? Like, no, man, we've always cared and protected our women. If we didn't care and want to look out for what's best for our women, the feminism movement wouldn't have went anywhere. The only reason why the feminist movement even has any traction at all is because men are behind women trying to say, yes, I do agree that you need to have these rights. I do agree that you need to have this peace of mind because I protect and I provide and I care about you.
Subscribe to this channel. In case you are watching this channel and have not subscribed.
Christian.
What it means to be a man is to be a adult human male.
That's sort of a very formal definition, but I think that might be a good place to kick off because there's a lot of talk, of writing, of research these days that says there's a crisis in masculinity. Is there a crisis in masculinity? And if so, like, what is that crisis?
The thing that I see is a lot of deconstructing generational trauma. The be a man, boys don't cry, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And I think that's actually one of the reasons why we see it as a crisis, because we're actually trying to redefine what it means to be a man, and none of us have any idea because we're just out here trying to be whoever we are.
That's right. I think that
I feel like being a man is just something that's in you. I mean, I feel like there are some stuff that you need to seek to find actual peace with yourself as a man. But the majority of stuff, I feel like being a man, if you were born a man, is probably innately in you. It's just something that you express instinctually. I just don't see, like, there's no way that we are lost on what masculinity is in today's time.
historically, being a man was rooted in patriarchy and misogyny. And now we realize how harmful that has been over the years. And so we don't really know how to define where we're supposed to be. And I think the reason, as they're saying, there's a crisis is because the box has gotten so small for just being, say, straight, just being a hetero, right? Because if you do anything, women judge you.
What do you mean anything?
If I dance a certain way, or if I wear my hair a certain way, if I dress a certain way, they go, real men don't do that. Real men don't do that. And so you get scared to move a certain way because you don't want to get judged or outed out of the accepted part of your community.
Bro, if all you're interested in is someone that's attracted to you, then you aren't being yourself at all. Be your fucking self. Why do you care about what someone else is thinking about you? If you want to walk around in a dress and you want to wear your hair long and have earrings and do this and that, and a girl wants to tell you that you're not man enough, then why would you want to be with her? You don't have to shape to this stuff, but women are going to voice what they're attracted to, just like how men will. Just like how, like, if a woman wants to be obese, go ahead, but most men aren't going to find you attractive. Just like how a man, if you want to wear a dress, go ahead, but most women aren't going to find you attractive. You can't blame the opposite gender's preference on physical attraction whenever we're all guilty of the same thing. You could say that society maybe pushed us to be attracted to this and that and this and that, but that's what we're attracted to right now. And then just trying to snap your fingers and switch it is just not going to work. You can't just change preferences. You can't just change what someone's attracted to.
And I think that kind of has us in an uproar, and we don't know where to be. Like, where's the safe place to be for men now? You know what I mean? And it's kind of disturbing.
You know, I was what you would call a toxic masculine male growing up. And I had good men that sewed into me, you know, they gave me good advice, but I never found manhood or never understood my place as a man until one day I humbled myself and I gave my life to the Lord Jesus Christ. And I'm telling you right now, walking with God changed my life forever.
Can you define toxic masculinity? Like,
I would say toxic masculinity is like what he was just saying, where you're using that leadership role or that aggressive nature in a harmful way to harm other people, to get your way. So the biblical structure for manhood is very humble. It's self-sacrifice. It's not self-motivated, but it is motivated by principle and standing on what's right. So there is a clear-cut vision for manhood in the Bible that I live by, and I think our culture used to live by, and I think our culture has lost its way.
I don't think a man's being aggressive or being rude or showing dominance to get your way. I think being a man is just being a morally just person. I feel like as a man, it's not really about what you look like. It's more about how you behave. It's more about, like, are you a protector? Are you a provider? Are you there to put yourself in the line of fire to save your people that you love? Like, I talk to my girl about this all the time. I think love is something that people forgot what it even is. I think Disney has brainwashed a lot of people into thinking love is this fairy tale, which is a feeling that you can't put a description on, that you will only know if you feel it, which I feel is bullshit. I feel like love for a man is whenever you are with a woman and you know damn well that you would give your life to save this woman. And I feel like as a woman, I feel like they love being able to feel protected and provided for, and to feel like that they can worry about what they worry about without having to lose everything. I feel like it's the same type of love where you both want and you depend on each other and you both need each other to an extent, but just in a completely opposite way.
I think everybody sort of has a different definition of toxic masculinity. I don't find masculinity toxic in and of itself, but I do believe in bad men, and bad men exist. But does that mean every man is toxically masculine? No.
When you're talking about a crisis on masculinity, I think that there's a lack of understanding there. So it's like masculinity, being masculine isn't toxic. It's just like there are portions of it that you can dive into that make it toxic.
Because I think a lot of what we think of masculinity is tied into patriarchy, right? Which is to say, like, for the longest period of human history, like, men dominated women and got the lion's share of stuff.
I think a lot of times some people make masculinity into a caricature, like it has to be this alpha bro tough guy.
Exactly.
And I find the low-key guy who, you know, is a really great father and a great husband and maybe not like drinking raw eggs every day to be a lot more masculine than the alpha bro who's going and like banging 20 women per weekend and not a responsible man. I find it more masculine to be a good guy.
I don't understand whenever being masculine turned into not being a father and not being a family man. When did everybody just think that we came up in a world where we just took advantage of our women? Like, yeah, maybe women didn't have the voice that they needed exactly. Maybe we did overlook some things that women needed in history, our ancestors, our forefathers, the men that made the patriarchy. Maybe we overlooked some things that our women wanted or needed. But we did not overlook our women. If anything, society was built around women. Society was built to protect and care for women. From at least from that I know, and since history was written, we have always been men go out and fight and risk their lives to protect their family and kids. Why is it now that people just think men have always taken advantage of women? I just can't believe that. Obviously there's always been bad apples. Obviously there's always been bad men that take advantage of women. But I feel like society was made for men to protect women. If women were always treated terribly and we just looked at them as scum, when the fuck did that change? Just in the 70s? Like, no, man, we've always cared and protected our women. If we didn't care and want to look out for what's best for our women, the feminism movement wouldn't have went anywhere. The only reason why the feminist movement even has any traction at all is because men are behind women trying to say, yes, I do agree that you need to have these rights. I do agree that you need to have this peace of mind because I protect and I provide and I care about you. Why is it just now that everybody in society just talks like the patriarchy has just always oppressed women and women have never had it lucky and women have never had it good? Like, I'm sorry, but I'd rather, this might be selfish to say since I haven't been put in that position, but I just really feel like risking your life is more of a loss than not being able to vote. Obviously, they need to be able to vote. I'm not trying to say that, but I'm just saying, I feel like I'd rather not be able to vote as long as I got to keep my life. But with that being said, I would also rather risk my life as if that meant I'm protecting and caring for my woman. I'm just saying, I feel like if we really want to talk about who's losing here in society and in the world, I feel like men are the ones that lose.
These characteristics that we're talking about are baked into an old system of domestic life.
I think that's actually where we get toxic masculinity. Like, none of us can really describe what it is, but we can see it when it happens.
So we learn it, right?
I'm human, yeah.
This is something we learned from the world. It's something we learned.
I might be an idiot, but I do not know what toxic masculinity is, unless it's just a man using his God-given attributes to take advantage of somebody. Like, people nowadays say toxic masculinity is working out too much or being like bro or wanting to go hang out with the boys or wanting to do anything manly at all is considered toxic masculinity nowadays. That's why I feel like that word is just a buzzword pushed by the media, because what would toxic masculinity even be other than what I said, which is when a man uses his attributes to take advantage of somebody.
From like TV and shit, and it's maybe something we learned from our dads too. Tell me about your dad.
I'm a first-generation kid. My dad is from Guyana. Grew up in very humble beginnings, poor family. First time I remember my dad telling me he loved me was when I was 17. And he was like saying like he was proud of me because I was about to graduate high school and things like that, you know. I'm appreciative of all of the other things, you know, being present as a provider, but in terms of like, you know, the conversation piece and like, oh, I want to talk to my dad about, you know, sex or something, or I want to talk to my dad about, oh, this person broke up with me and I'm feeling pretty sad about it. I didn't have those conversations.
So like emotional language as part of like how you talk to your dad.
Yeah.
And my definition of manhood came solely from my relationship with God. It didn't come from my father. It didn't come from the good influences around me.
Is God a man?
Yeah, and God is a man.
He is.
God is a father, and he's a good father. He's a perfect father. And so I think there is a clear definition of manhood where I guess that's where I diverge from everyone else in the room. I believe manhood is clearly defined by God. It is the perfect example of what a man should be.
Christian, I see you nodding your head.
I grew up in a divorced home. When you do grow up in a broken home and you don't have a father in the home, you recognize how important sort of both males and females are in raising a child and being in the home.
Yes. I said this in one of my clips and someone wanted to get mad at me for it. I just feel like a man or a child needs a man and a woman. It was a video where it was this woman talking about how she wants to have a kid, but she just doesn't really care if there's a father in the picture. Like, that's so selfish. And I was talking to a girl that I know about the same thing, and she was saying the same thing. And I was just telling, like, that's so selfish. Like, you do not need to have a kid. If you are in the right state of mind and you want to have a kid, then by all means. But if you can't even have a father in the picture and you feel like you can raise this kid by yourself, you're so selfish. I don't know, man. That whole saying, it takes a village to raise a kid, and now people nowadays just think they can do it on their own. Like, no, you can't. That's why there's so many kids that have no guidance at all, and they're just running around doing what they've seen on the internet.
There's a balance between, you know, masculine energy and feminine energy.
Absolutely.
And I feel like there's both within everybody. And so there's a balance that with masculine energy in itself that I think a lot of people have trouble trying to like reconcile within themselves. Like, yes, being a man, you work hard, you take care of your people, but you gotta be able to have that emotional side too, which is where the feminine energy comes in.
Y'all just like triggered something in my head.
I do agree with that. I do agree that men need to show more emotion, but at the same time, I don't feel like we need to be emotional. I feel like it's different and it's really relative to what man you're talking to. Like me personally, I love the struggle. I've grown up through the struggle my whole life. I've went through hardships my whole life, and I hate it while I'm going through it like everybody else, but while I'm going through it, but afterwards I know that it's gonna make me a better man. And now, since I'm a grown man and I've done it so many times, it's just like ups and downs, like a damn roller coaster. I just know while I'm going through this hard time that it will be better. I will get through it and everything's going to be all right. But I wouldn't have that mindset. I wouldn't be as strong as I was without having to deal with my emotions by myself, without having to talk about them, because maybe this is that toxic masculinity that they're talking about, but I just feel like as a man, talking doesn't do anything. Like how I said early in the video, women are more about talking, men are more about doing. Like, yes, you can talk, you can let something out, but it's not gonna fix anything. And if you think talking is gonna fix anything, then I don't feel like you're gonna progress. If you want to just talk to let something out, to maybe like say it out loud to get your mind wrapped around what you need to do, then yeah, I feel like that's a good idea. But if you're just talking to talk and thinking that's gonna fix something, it's not, and it's never gonna fix anything for a man. But yeah, that video got a little bit long. I'm gonna end it here. If you got anything to say about the video, anything to say to me, comment it down below. I'll read every single comment. And if you're not already, please subscribe to your boy. I appreciate every single one. And with all that said, deuces.
I won't speak up on it, but that's just how it's supposed to be. She thinks she leeching proudly, but she won't get nothing from me. Say you let me, I doubt it. I'll fuck around and pay the fee. It's a whole lot of hate up in your eyes, and I can see it.
Hate all in your eyes, and you've been praying on my downfall.